So how did you get the opportunity to host Rap City?
Man, so many people have asked that question, and I I've never been the dude to beat my own chest or, you know, just be like in everybody's face like that. For those that remember a period of time in Rap City when transformed into the basement where it got into a studio, um, Chris had been doing stuff like partially in the studio, partially sometimes out because he was the comedian and host for some of these early hip hop shows that were traveling the country. So he had such great relationships with Public Enemies and Will Smith and so many iconic artists of that era. Um, Big Les and Joe Claire obviously were doing their thing, out and on location. When Tigger had ultimately taken the reins of the show and it went into the basement, one of the aspects that they added, shouts out to the producers who had the mentality and wherewithal to say, hey, look, what is a major part of hip hop? The DJ. Let's not forget that. Let's highlight the DJ. So they actually brought in a DJ to to that show, and different DJs were featured. I ended up being able to be one of those. Shouts out to my man Kelly G, who was the music director of BET at the time, and seeing that this was part of what they were doing, I was like, yo, I need that look. What's up? So he put me in contact with the right people. Um, got up, had the ability to be a guest on the show. And I was just so happy to be able to get that look because that was a huge look. I mean, that was like, imagine going viral, but within your own city. It may not have meant as much outside of that, but in your own city, like you went viral. Like, like in the streets, anybody who was affiliated with hip hop culture, like you did it. So I just appreciated the fact that the network and the show was giving that look to not just me but others because I knew what it meant. I knew how big it was. So I wanted to just have the opportunity to just go see my man Kelly and say thank you to the powers that be for again allowing that. And lo and behold, in saying so, I'm introducing myself. Dude that's in driver's seat is like, oh yeah, I know who you are. Yeah, we're gonna hire you. I
Wow.
felt, and I said this on the Welcome to Rap City documentary. I'm like, yo, am I being punked? Like, yo, I didn't go in there asking for no job. I didn't expect any job. I didn't expect nothing. I just wanted to say thank you because it was a great opportunity, and I wanted to let them know how appreciated that it was. But when he said that, like I said, I'm taken back. Like again, I mean, Soren, you've been around long enough to know that plenty of people are always, trying to knock down the door and say, "Yo, give me this," and "Yo, I'm this," and "You need to put me on," and all the like. Like I said, I just want to say thank you. So they gave me the biggest "you're welcome" ever in saying that. I really didn't even know how to take it. Like a word, like all right. I mean, this at the time is Stephen Hill. He's the guy over there. He just got come over from MTV. Within the last couple of years, and I'm like, all right. And he was a man of his word. Beginning at the end of 2004, and they started bringing me in to guest host in the basement, and then January 18th, 2005, took over the reins full time of BET's Rap City.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember those days well. That being
Yeah.
said, and one of the interesting things you mentioned, which I always thought was uh interesting on many levels, was that the DJs, when you guys would introduce them and do their little interview or segment at the beginning, I was
Mm.
sometimes surprised because a lot of them weren't very good at talking on camera, to put it
Yeah,
mildly.
yeah.
And that always surprised me. So how did you navigate that in real time and being on television and your personality is a little more vibrant and out there, but a lot of those dudes were very stoic or didn't have much to say. How did you
Mm.
navigate that as an interviewer, as the host of the show?
I guess I've just been always quick on my toes, and I wanted to always make sure that the same look that I felt that I got from being a guest DJ, I wanted to give the opportunity to give people that did the same thing that I did as far as being a DJ that look. So I always wanted to make sure that I gave them spotlight. I mentioned their names, in and out of segments to make sure that people knew that they were there. And for me, I felt that it was important to really take on that part of the legacy of maintaining the DJ aspect. To your point, yeah, I got a personality, right? And not every DJ does. There's a term called bedroom DJ. These guys are technically, amazing and fantastic, may not have so much of the personality side. So yeah, for me, I figured out pretty fast, like, all right, who can engage in that way and who can't. But I'm still going to give them as much love and spotlight as possible because, as I said, I really recognize how important it was for me, and I really wanted to make sure that every other DJ had the opportunity to get some of that feel.
Okay. And two, with the interviewing people on the radio versus interviewing them in person, what was that like, that transition or that reality, knowing that yes, you can cut and everything, but it's still
Mhm.
live in a sense? How did that and people could see the reaction, they could see the looks on people's faces. How did
Mhm.
that work out for you as you got more seasoned in doing it on TV?
For me, I'd say the biggest difference was really the fact that in radio, you really are able to engage in a different way. So really, just same way that we're doing right now. Like whatever you're asking me is really coming from you. Um, you don't have a producer in your ear. Hey, go here, go there. On Rap City in particular, we had a group of producers who would research stories, be the ones to kind of feed in the questions and whatnot. So especially in the early days, for me, I'm not really trying to rock the boat too much and be considered a problem or a diva. Because I remember there was a situation where we had one producer who was, and this was before I took over full time. Um, we had Fabolous on as a guest host, and this was on I think we were in the Dominican Republic for a remote shoot, and he kept on wanting questions. And I actually, to this day, I don't know if this was a setup or whatnot, but he kept on wanting me to ask him about him sounding like Mace. I don't think Fabulous sounds anything like Mace.
I wouldn't say that either,
You
yeah.
know, yeah, they don't sound alike. They don't rap alike. Fab is from Brooklyn, Mason's from Harlem. Like I said, I don't know if this was a setup, because you know, for whatever reason. But I kind of got to go with, to a degree, what the producer is going with, because now I'm in a situation where the producer gets to go back to the executive producer and to the management and be like, "Yo, Links is a problem. I wanted to do this, and this is what my plan was, and he ain't rocking with me. He's not doing it." Versus in radio, I'm doing an interview with Fab. I can talk with Fab about whatever I want, and trust me, it's not going to be about him sounding like Mace.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what did you find out the different setups? Because you would interview people at the table. You had the
Mhm.
turntables set up. You had the pool table. You had the booth.
Mhm.
Did you notice any difference in how the artists responded or reacted or acted in the different sets?
I would say probably not. Now, obviously, when we got into the booth, for a real MC, it's very much a comfortable space. So, and at that point, we're not really engaging in a interview at that point. It's like the setup is now, okay, it's time for you to highlight your skills, for you to do this, promo your album, sell it, get people to be like, yo, that verse is nice. Like, Tuesday, I'm in line, I'm trying to get the new whoever album. So I felt that it was good. And I mean, and at the end of the day, because of people's affinity for the culture and love for the culture, it's hard when you love something like that and it's pure and it's genuine to understand what you're watching sometimes as a business.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, Rap City, like every other show on BET, was a business. It was it was a tool to generate revenue via people's eyeballs and the ability for the network to sell advertising to those eyeballs. So an artist now or a record company understands that showing up on Rap City is an opportunity for that artist to promote themselves and typically their upcoming album. So, they were there to do their job in that regard. Sorry if I blew anybody's mind out there, but that was just the nature of the business. So people who were seasoned and experienced, they understood what it was. And listen, they were also there because they wanted to give their fans something that they couldn't at that time hop on their jacket and like start tweeting out or putting out something on Instagram because they had no ways to connect directly to the consumer other than vehicles like a Rap City, which they do today. Listen, artists they are their own platforms in many instances, and they don't need a BET, Rap City, MTV. Listen, as long as they have a platform a la YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, they're able to connect and curate their own message directly to those who they're trying to get to.